Ladies and gentlemen, and all of you following the latest updates on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, here is the detailed content. Ukraine is facing a serious risk of power shortages in the upcoming winter. Ukraine may be at risk of widespread power outages this winter due to Russian missile attacks on its energy infrastructure. Russia's RT news agency reported that Ukraine's foreign minister, Dmytro Kuleba, mentioned that Ukraine is preparing for the worst winter in its history, facing the risk of widespread power outages due to missile attacks by Moscow targeting its energy infrastructure. In an interview with the German newspaper Die Welt on November 6, Kuleba revealed that he had purchased dozens of candles, and his father even bought a truckload of firewood to prepare for potential Russian attacks. Kuleba noted that Ukraine is not concerned if Germany does not provide Stinger missiles, but hopes to receive additional anti-aircraft defense systems. He also emphasized that Ukraine will do its utmost to protect its power plants. Germany has been reluctant to supply Stinger missiles, with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz explaining that he does not want to see German missiles used to attack targets in Russia. Ukraine's perspective on the coming difficult winter was discussed by the head of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, Oleksiy Danilov, back in September. Danilov mentioned that top Ukrainian officials had discussed this issue multiple times. He also pointed out that the provision of electricity to the population depends on each local community. Last month, Ukraine's energy minister, Herman Gresko, admitted that if Russia carries out large-scale attacks on the country's energy infrastructure, it could cause significant damage to the power grid and the potential for power outages. Gresko called on people to buy generators and take other measures to prepare for power outages. Earlier in July, Ukraine's energy minister estimated that Russia's attacks had damaged about 50% of the total electricity production facilities, with some facilities beyond repair. Russia initiated large-scale attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure in October 2022, in response to what Moscow described as a terrorist attack on the Crimean Bridge. While Ukrainian officials initially denied involvement, this summer the head of Ukraine's security service, Vasyl Malyar, claimed responsibility for the attack. Ukraine's foreign minister discussed an end-of-the-world scenario in the conflict with Russia. Dmytro Kuleba stated that the Ukrainian government hopes to establish partnerships with EU countries to continue the fight, regardless of the outcome of the 2024 US presidential election. Regarding what might happen in 2024, we'll have to wait and see, but we are preparing because we cannot rely solely on US support, Kuleba said in an interview with Germany's Die Welt. Kuleba noted that his proposal for joint production of weapons and ammunition had received positive responses from foreign ministers at a recent EU meeting in Berlin. That's why we are now investing a significant amount and ramping up production of all kinds of weapons, increasing our military-industrial complex, he said. If the West cannot win this war, then what war can they win? Kuleba asked. The U.S. has provided significant military and financial assistance to Ukraine over the past 2 years. In recent months, the U.S. has focused on Israel, and Kuleba expressed concerns that Ukraine had been fading from the U.S. media's attention. To regain attention, Ukraine invited former President Donald Trump to visit, but he declined. In a recent interview with Time magazine, Trump's aides described him as isolated and delusional about the war, while also highlighting rampant corruption in Ukraine. Kuleba firmly denied these allegations and emphasized Ukraine's success in combating corruption. Ukraine revealed the real reasons it couldn't effectively stop Russian air raids. A Ukrainian Air Force spokesperson, Suri Inas, stated on November 6 that the country couldn't fully protect its airspace from Russian air raids because the air defense system is not dense enough to provide comprehensive coverage. He said, "We currently don't have a dense enough air defense network to effectively stop even a fly, but we are continuously strengthening our defense capabilities." He further explained that if Ukraine could establish a dense air defense network, it would protect important infrastructure like energy facilities and coastal areas. Protecting these strategic assets is a top priority for Ukraine. Inas added that Western nations are providing military assistance, gradually transferring new types of weapons that Ukraine hadn't previously seen. Also, on November 6, Ukraine accused Russia of launching major missile strikes on the city port of Odessa, resulting in 8 injuries. According to Ukraine, Russia fired 2 ground-to-ground missiles into the city of Kharkiv, attacking several areas with the P-800 Onyx anti-ship missile and Iskander-M ballistic missiles launched from the Crimea. While top Ukrainian officials initially denied involvement in the attack, this summer, the head of Ukraine's security service, Vasyl Malyar, claimed responsibility for the attack. Ukraine's foreign minister commented on the way-out scenario in the conflict with Russia. Dmytro Kuleba mentioned that Ukraine would look to create partnerships with EU nations to continue the fight, regardless of the outcome of the 2024 US presidential election. Regarding what might happen in 2024, we will have to wait and see, but we are preparing because we cannot rely solely on US support, Kuleba stated in an interview with Germany's Die Welt. Kuleba noted that his proposal for joint production of weapons and ammunition had received positive responses from foreign ministers at a recent EU meeting in Berlin. That's why we are now investing a significant amount and ramping up production of all kinds of weapons, increasing our military-industrial complex, he said. If the West cannot win this war, then what war can they win? Kuleba asked.